Hello, everybody. My name is Margaret Pinard. Welcome to my channel. You're on Booktube. I'm thinking about always drinking a cup of tea when I press live. It might get a bit hard when it gets 90 degrees plus to drink tea, but I don't know. That's kind of a fun signature sign-in move. I don't know. What do you think? Anyway, I'm a historical fiction and fantasy author, as you can see, and I am here to delight you with 5 books that I have read or finished, technically, in the past week. It is my Wednesday wrap-up, so welcome to this July Wednesday wrap-up. Before I get started with the books, and they're all over the place because I am an eclectic reader, I did want to activate the Author Help Network. I just got some disturbing news a couple hours ago that a fellow Portland author, Jessie Quack, was the victim of a stray bullet in a shooting in Portland. She was tabling, as an author does, at a street fair and got into the car with the books. The bullet hit the car and hit her in the eye. So she was at the hospital, she's going to have surgery, and she runs this big conference and churns out books and sci-fi, steampunk kind of niche. And so I've come across her path a couple times in the past 10 years that I've been here in Portland. So they have a GoFundMe for her medical bills, just to sort of help with whatever is coming on that front. And I will put that in the chat. So just a GoFundMe for a fellow author here in Portland who had something horrific and traumatic happen this weekend. If you have the extra to donate and want to help, feel free to click that link. Just found out, so I was like very discombobulated this morning, trying to get that in my head. But yeah, I hope she's going to be able to come back from that. She can't see out of her left eye. And they're saying they don't know if they can fix it. So that may be some changed life situation for her. And I'm hoping that they can do something about it. But it'll always cost money. So there we go. Okay, so that's the Jessie news. Back to what we're talking about today, which is book reviews and tea. If you caught my intro, let me know if you think I should drink hot tea at the opening of every live stream that I do. If not, that's okay too. We're going to be wrapping up 5 books. The first one is, I'll read the fun little blurb for this. So you can take a look at the cover. That will give you some information. It's a cozy supernatural mystery, and there's romance a little bit in the series. So that will give you the overall, first hits. This one is about the main character's sort of colleague who gets hit by a car, and they think it's an accident, but she knows it's not an accident because of her familiar. And she investigates. So she's sort of an amateur detective who is a witch in Savannah, who is also the owner of a bakery. She's a hedge witch. So anyone interested in any of those things, I think, will be delighted because the writing is really good. It's very well plotted in terms of action and suspense and suspicion, and lots of humor in here and not too cheesy. So I sometimes can't get behind the cozy mysteries, but you throw in some supernatural and apparently it's fine. So all of the books today, except for one, are 4 stars plus. So they're definite recommends. And this is one that I picked up because I found another one in the series and was like, oh, that was really good. I'll try another, thank you. So this is actually from the library and I will be taking it back pretty soon. The next book is the non 4 star. So this dipped down to like 3.75. It's called The Great American Land Bubble. It's just a hardcover from a long time ago by Andre. What's his first name? Is it Andre? I'm in suspense. It's A.M., but I think I saw Andre. A.M. Sokolsky, Assistant Professor of Finance, College of the City of New York. This is written in 1932, I believe, and he already had plenty of material for this many chapters about land speculation. So since before America was America, this great North American continent has been the target of land speculators. And I had a really interesting time researching pieces of this, especially the relationship between how the railroad grew and land speculators. So they were like hand in glove, if it wasn't obvious. But it wasn't written very professionally, so I'm going to give it 3.75. And Sokolsky is long dead, so he can't come and give me a bad review. But yeah, I found this in a used bookstore and thought that was interesting. And I'm the queen of books you've never heard of, often for research purposes. One of them I made Barrett read with me, and that was about the wheat market in California and the railroads there and how they would jack up prices for people to transport their wheat. So the wheat farmers were out. I mean, this isn't even taking into account all the people who were there before the wheat farmers. But yeah, so we talked about that with Barrett. But now this also has a chapter on the California Railroad and speculators, and it's actually pretty interesting. I just did not like the writing, and I could just say that because he's an academic, and maybe it's a time thing. Maybe it's a 1932. The voice of the author is just different, like that. See, maybe that's coming into play. So that's book number 2. If you're here and you're interested in these books, and I'm going to ask you which one sounds best for you, feel free to drop a like and subscribe to the channel. We will move quickly on to book number 3. Oh, you know what I did forget because I was so discombobulated about the Jessie announcement? I forgot to say hello to all the lovely people in the chat. R.C. Scott, first as usual. Shannon, right behind. SD Houston made friends with the like button. Thank you, Shannon. Anita AF Stewart said hello. I was just on Anita's channel. We had a slam dunk historical fantasy panel. It was so much fun. So yes, that was super cool. You can go check it out on her channel. Felicia is here, dreamingtruth.author. Hello. Okay, so you ready for number 3? Number 3 is, here we go, A Blizzard of Polar Bears. This is by my friend Alice Henderson. I have read A Solitude of Wolverines, and that was really good. And so I was like, I'm definitely going to keep reading the series as she writes it. And I was not disappointed to read the sequel, the number 2 in the series. So let me read you the blurb for that. So basically, this is climate fiction, environmental thriller. It's a wildlife ecologist who goes around on remote, sort of isolated places to conduct research, but then is very observant, has a really good survival skill set, and ends up amateur detective solving crimes. So, or, not necessarily solving the crime, but saving her own skin and saving the day. So I really like Alex Carter, but let me tell you the blurb. Fresh off her Wolverine study in Montana, wildlife biologist Alex Carter lands a job studying a threatened population of polar bears in the Canadian Arctic. Embedded with a small team of Arctic researchers, she tracks the majestic bears by air, following them over vast snowy terrain. But as her study progresses, she gathers data on the health of individual bears. Things start to go awry. Her helicopter pilot quits unexpectedly, equipment goes missing, and a late-night intruder breaks into the lab. So, the plot gets so thick, I definitely laughed out loud let's say several times when, the stakes ratcheted up, and then again, and I was like, oh my god, how many things are you going to throw in here, Alice? So, it was both exciting, I definitely not, believable in terms of the knowing all the things and coincidences being as they are, but very like informative. I will say very informative, because she has a lot of information about the environment, about the wildlife, about the state of the science. So that is actually true stuff that Alice knows, because she's a wildlife researcher who writes thriller novels on the side. One of those people who can do everything. But you get all that sort of painted as the backdrop, and then it eases you into the story of how did this happen? Why is she being pursued? Who's that creep? You know, all this kind of stuff. And there's a juicy reveal for people who have read the first one. We're advanced a little bit in terms of the overarching series arc. So that's very exciting. So again, I think 4+ stars, and I'd recommend this to anyone looking for a fun thriller who maybe wants to read about ice, because they're very hot this summer. And Alice Henderson is wonderful. I've produced 2 or 3 interviews for her at A Mighty Blaze before, and she's just lovely. She's just so warm and kind and knowledgeable. So yeah, one of those people like you really want to I don't know, I wouldn't say be like, she does all these different things. Like I have different interests, but I really respect all the time she's put in and the knowledge she's gained and the stories she writes. So definitely recommend. Oh no, we had an early fall off. Okay, I didn't see that. Maybe it'll pop up after when it's like recycled in 24 hours. Okay, Lauren was here. Thank you, Lauren. And then we've got Ellen here. Says, "Hola, Margaret. Just watching my story, General Hospital, and awaiting my father's visit from Scottsdale." Alrighty. General Hospital. Nope. Okay, so that was book 3. 2 more to go. I've got another book by a friend, and this one I think relates to Jane Austen July, hence the thumbnail. I'm working it in every time just a little bit. You see that? But there's also going to be a poll at the end for Jane Austen July final read. So stay tuned. But this is a Lady's Revenge by Edie K. And I also got this from the library, as you can see. And this is a Regency romance that involves, I'll read the blurb because that'll get it better than I will. Lady Lydia Somerset is an earl's daughter. At the ripe age of 25, she still wears the lavish gowns and dances the dainty steps of the haute ton as if she were pursuing a husband, but her goals are far more personal. Oh boy. Okay, so I'm not going to give this away. It's in the blurb. But anyway, Lydia is a very privileged young woman who had a traumatic event, and that is the content warning. You learn about it pretty early on, but I'll just say content warning for rape in this book. It's off page, but she has revenge plot to drive the novel. And basically she has friends and family. There's 5 of them, I think, who are plotting to take down all of these men who participated in this trauma. And they're like 3 down, 2 to go by the time this first in the series comes out. And then something lands in her lap, almost literally, and it looks like a very handsome boxer dude. She's interested in boxing, and he's like a prize fighter. So, but he's also like from the wrong side of the tracks, trying to work his way up. He's got all the money, he just has none of the class. So there's lots of tropes intersecting here in a very interesting way. It's very well written. It's very well researched. I think Edie gets a lot of disbelief or pushback, like talking about women boxers, because like that's not something we see, but it did happen. And you get taken into the hells and the mills, as they call them, which were like the fights and the secret rendezvous for people who were betting on and then participating in the boxing matches of this era, which is really cool because it's something we don't hear about. But yeah, she's got great research, great writing, great humor, great emotional pining, and like I said, all these sort of delicious tropes that intersect in an interesting way, and she makes it seem new again. So definitely recommend A Lady's Revenge. She's got more in this series, and I will, again, like Alice's book, be reading the next one, but it may take me a while. I try to be fair and go through everybody's, and I know so many writers, so it does take me a long time back to the same author's work. So that was for, oh yes, let's see, my last one. Leslie's here, just popped in. Nice to see you. Been watching it for 40 plus years. I know, my sisters are the same way. It's just like smoking. You should quit if you feel like it. It's not something that's a virtue to hold up. That's just my opinion. So Anita said it did. Boxing was considered good fitness for women in the olden days. Well, it did certain things to your reputation. Let's just say that. So I don't think in this milieu it was considered good fitness because women weren't supposed to be fit in that way. But yeah. Number 5 is my audiobook entry, and it is The Door-to-Door Bookstore. This is by Carsten Henn, and oh gosh, I had it somewhere. Translated by I have the narrator. The narrator is Rapahel Corkhill. But where's the translation? No, it's not going to say. It's not going to say. I've read another edition. No shit, Sherlock. Knihonos. There's all these sorts of interesting translations. Well, anyway, I can't find the translator right now, but suffice to say, this is in German, set in Germany. This book is, I would say, relaxing, but deceptively, because I relaxed right on into this on my walks. I listen to audiobooks while I walk, and was very much enjoying the tale of the bookwalker, who's this old man who just has like one duty of his job left, which is to deliver books, hand deliver them to his customers who he's known for years. And he calls them literary characters' names in his head because he's just a bookman through and through. The inciting incident is that this 9-year-old girl, Jaja, starts joining up with him in a square and following him around and pushing her way into his life. And so that sets the stage for another change, which is a spoiler, so I won't go into it. But bad things happen, and he rises to the occasion for some, and some are very sad. Trigger warning for this is domestic abuse and like elder abuse. And then there's like a really, there's such a good moment at the end where if you've ever been lonely and thought nobody cared, nobody's coming, no one knows I exist, like it's very redeeming, this happy ever after. The happy ever after for me does go a little too far and too like tight in a bow for me. But again, 4+ stars for this one. It was very enjoyable. It had a really good connection, really lovely writing, and well narrated, and as far as I could tell, well translated. The only thing was that this one character had a really sort of working class London accent, and then when he changed his mood, the accent disappeared, and I was like, I don't know that. Well, that was an interesting choice. I don't know. I know that when you take accents out of one language and try to put them in another, the most easily coded one is English. So like a British English. So you can have a London sort of like Cockney sounding accent, and you'll know that it means working class. If you have received pronunciation RP, then you know it's supposed to be someone who's hoity-toity. But it just felt strange that it disappeared when he changed his mood. And it doesn't seem to be a thing with accents, but so yeah, there you go. Still 4+ stars and a really great story, especially for people who want a little something different, but still a book about books and book relationships around books, the ways that books bring us into relationship. You know what I'm trying to say. So yeah, so Door to Door Bookstore by Carsten Henn, really liked that as well. Whew. Oh, public boxing. That would be different. Yep. Self-Pub with Andy is here to say hi. Hi, Andy. What a nice new channel name. So descriptive. Okay, so now I have the poll. So it is Jane Austen July, and like I said, I've only had sort of a tangential contribution each week so far, and this is week 3. So I thought I would ask, out of my 10 remaining Jane Austen books that could still contribute to participating in Jane Austen July, which looks the best? This is the one I started last night. Jane Austen's The History of England and Cassandra's Portraits. And so far, I am still mucking through the foreword, which is about arguing for the case that the portraits that Cassandra drew for Jane Austen's parody of The History of England were actually family members. And it's said over and over again. So far, I'm wondering why she's arguing so vehemently for this. But it is very cool. It has lots of pictures because it's about, oh, there they are. Because it's about Cassandra's portraits. That's like the value added for this Jane Austen juvenilia. So satiric and illustrated short volume. That's the first one. We've got Jane Austen's letters. This is no pictures, very short. I'm not sure which collection of letters it is. It's part of the collection that I have because my mom's cousin had a huge collection and left it to me when she died. So, okay, we've got Jane Austen's Catherine or the Bower, and this is actually not from Ginny's collection. This is the one I got when I went to Chawton in 1995, and I still haven't read it. So, a short story of Jane Austen's that I still haven't read after 30 years. You know, could be time. Could be time. We've got a Mariah Edgeworth novel. So I picked these up because they were really pretty and old. And one of the volumes, of course, they're not sold in the full set because then it would be expensive. But one of the volumes, it's got one of her novels that just seemed pretty doable. This is an edition from 1875. And the first novel is called Helen, a Tale by Mariah Edgeworth. I just thought that would be fun to read something really old. And of course, my fingers will get really dusty and I'll probably sneeze a lot, but maybe that's a plus for my audience. I don't know. Then we've got 101 Things You Didn't Know About Jane Austen, The Truth About the World's Most Intriguing Literary Heroine by Patrice Hannon. And this is kind of like background research. This would be really good for someone like Emma Bennett, who is, researching for a Regency romance. So with this one, Jane Austen and Marriage by Hazel Jones, famous, respected Jane Austen scholar. Or, let's see, this one, Jane Austen, The World of Her Novels by Deirdre LaFay. So let's see, that one has some pictures as well. Oh, that looks really good. It is a little bit bigger. And now I've only got, 2 weeks left. So take that into account. And then the last nonfiction is Jane Austen, Her Life, the definitive portrait of Jane Austen, her life, her art, her family, her world by Park Honan. So this is another academic's huge treatise on this person. And I haven't read it. So biographies are not Not my go-to if you haven't noticed. And then other contemporary stuff. It's Self-Control by Mary Brenton. It's the Jane Austen library series, which is like what was in Jane Austen's library, which is kind of a neat view. And then very different is Faye Weldon. So she's a modern author that just passed away recently. She has this book called Letters to Alice on First Reading Jane Austen. And I kind of peeked into the first few pages. It's a very long letter. So she was in Australia while her niece was going to college and taking her first lit class and studying Jane Austen. And she didn't like her, and she wrote to her aunt and said, like, you're a famous author. Can you tell me what to get out of this? And so she writes, and already in just the first letter that I read and then stopped to skim because it was so long, she's like waxing lyrical about Jane Austen and life experience. So it's short, but like seems very dense and immersive. And I haven't read any Faye Weldon. I have a couple of her other books on my TBR, but this would be her letters. So anyway, those are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 choices. Which one stands out for you? And of course, if you're watching this on the replay, you can rewind and go back because that is a lot of choices. But if you're here now, which one do you remember? Picture book, Shannon says. Yeah, that's a good first instinct. I like it. Yeah, my kind of book, says Andy. He agrees. Elmer would totally dig these books. I know. Too bad we don't live closer, right? Oh, and Anita says, I vote for Jane Austen's letters, the actual letters. Okay. Shannon seconds Anita's vote. Okay, well, maybe I can do 2 then. Because I really want to do the history of England because I want to see if I get any of the jokes. I probably won't. Maybe that's when I'll move on to the letters. Yeah. So that's just me participating in Jane Austen July. I don't know if anyone else in the audience is. But yeah, it's a readathon. It's a movement. And you can always just reread the classic 6 or watch an adaptation. I may have watched an adaptation recently, in fact. So yeah, whatever evokes the spirit of Austen best for you at this moment. Alrighty. So that is about it for me today. I hope you like some of those 5 books. Like I said, 3.75 to 4.5 stars. That's a pretty good rating for 5 books in 1 week. I've got some really good ones on deck and some, exciting things coming up. So once again, thank you for watching. Feel free to like this stream or subscribe to the channel and share it wherever you have book friends. I'd love to meet new people. And that's it for today. Thanks, everybody, and happy reading.